Welcome back everyone to another build showcase, this time for one of the best games of all time, Divinity Original Sin 2. I've been aiming to do this for a while and figured what better time than after that badass trailer for the new Divinity game. The first build we will be covering is the Raging Bull. I wanted to start with this build because I believe it is fundamentally the easiest build in the game to beat hard difficulties with. The combat loop is very simple and straightforward, while still being a wildly fun build to use, and one of my personal favorites. The Raging Bull is not only for the warrior type players out there, but also for those of you that like to see huge damage numbers, one-shots, and to overall own the battlefield. As always, I will have the full leveling guide in the description, and not only will I have the normal guide, but I will also have the Lone Wolf guide for those that prefer that playstyle instead. They are functionally the same, but the Lone Wolf build is just stronger, due to how strong that talent is. So now let's jump straight into character creation. For this build, as with many Divinity builds, the best races are going to be either elf or human. Elves get a 10% damage bonus and 1 extra AP every fight from Flesh Sacrifice, which is miles better than any other racial ability. Humans do get a nice trait in the form of Ingenious, which boosts both your critical damage and chance, and this build will be using criticals. So if you would prefer not to rock the meth addict elf look of Divinity 2, then feel free to go with humans instead. Alternatively, if you're looking to be an origin character, then for the same reasons your best options will be Ifan, Los, or Sibyl. Thane is another great option because he has the best ability in the game in Time Warp, which is exclusive to him. This ability will grant a free turn to any character of your choosing, and is the single strongest ability in the game. Additionally, Thane ties into the plot more than any other character in the game, and is the real main character of Divinity Original Sin 2. As the build preset, you can select Metamorph, but this part really does not matter, and for attributes, you will want to put all of them into Strength, giving you 14 Strength. This build is all about doing high damage, two-handed strikes, and Strength is basically the only attribute in the game that we want. For abilities, we're going to take 1 point from the two-handed and place that into Warfare instead, allowing us to select Warfare skills. Warfare and Polymorph will allow you access to extremely powerful early game skills. Lastly, as the face of the party, you can select Persuasion, giving you more ways to talk your way through the game. Or alternatively, you can select Thievery to have endless amounts of gold. Either way, between you and your companions, you should have all of these covered. The first skill we are going to grab in character creation is in the Warfare tree, Battering Ram. This will not only act as a solid damage and mobility option early on, but it is more crucially a form of AoE crowd control. There are 3 things that matter in Divinity on harder difficulties: crowd control, damage, and more AP so you can deal more crowd control and more damage. This build will use all 3, starting with Battering Ram and our next skill, Battle Stomp. This is another form of crowd control and damage, but this time the AoE is even larger, and instead of mobility, it has the added benefit of range. Similar tools for different situations, but these two in combination with properly grouping enemies will pretty much just solo win every fight early on, with 2 turns of the enemies laying on their back. Lastly, in Champ Select, we have Tentacle Lash, which is a ranged ability that applies atrophy to enemies, making it an absolute lifesaver in the early game. Atrophy makes enemies unable to use their basic attacks, making it perfect for early Magister Bowmen and dogs. Tentacle Lash will remain one of your highest damaging skills for the entire game. These 3 skills will make the foundation of your build, and be some of your most important skills all the way till you hit the end credits. For talents, we are going to take the single best talent in the entire game right away, which is Executioner. AP is one of the only things in this game that really matters, and getting 2 more after getting a kill once every turn is insanely powerful. For Origins, I always implore my viewers to play the character that they want to roleplay as. However, I would like to mention that Mystic and Scholar are, in my opinion, the 2 most relevant tags during a playthrough, if you would prefer the decision to be made for you. And finally, we will of course be picking the cello, because as we all know, it's simply the best instrument. There are a few skills worth mentioning that you will want to grab early on. The first of which, and most crucially, is Adrenaline. This is a skill worth having on every single build in the game. It effectively allows you to take 2 AP from your next turn, and instead use it on this turn. Because it is so important to kill and crowd control enemies before they kill or crowd control you, this is an easy trade-off to make. And if you're playing as an elf, you can acquire this before even leaving the tutorial boat. The next skill I will mention is Whirlwind. This is your basic run-of-the-mill warrior whirlwind as it is in every single game. It deals a lot of damage in an AoE around you. Knock them down with Battering Ram and Battle Stomp, then spin to win on their heads. Lastly, for offensive skills, we have Enrage. This will allow you to crit 100% of the time at the cost of being unable to cast spells. On this build, it is well worth it. Every critical hit is going to be a near lethal amount of damage. Ideally, you would have this skill on a support instead of yourself so that you can save your AP for more damage. However, if you do not have someone else for the job, then using it on yourself is fine. And what is dealing damage worth if you can't reach the enemy? That's where mobility skills come into play. The first of which is Bull Rush. Bull Rush effectively gives you another version of Battering Ram, albeit without crowd control. Instead, it applies bleed and does a lot of damage. This is one of your best abilities early on. Next up, we have Phoenix Dive and Cloak and Dagger. In this build, these two function the exact same. They allow you to traverse vertically, making it easier to reach those pesky mages and archers posted up on the high ground, eliminating their safe spaces and winning you the fights instantly. And lastly, we have the core defensive skills worth mentioning. They can be situationally useful when you need a slight pick-me-up. The first of which is Vampiric Hunger. This gives you 50% lifesteal, which is actually fairly useful early on when enemies do not just one-shot you. This can save your life in many situations. Next, we have a nice skill in Armor of Frost. This will give you a magical armor boost, but more importantly, it will cure your allies and yourself from a plethora of annoying ailments, including burning, stunned, poisoned, and petrified. It doesn't hurt to have this skill on every character in your party. Lastly, we have Uncanny Evasion. This spell will allow you to basically be invincible in fights where there are no mages. Only spells will be able to hit you, so if you eliminate the mages immediately, you get to press this as a GG button. As for the last spell I will mention in the early game, we have Teleport. This spell is the single greatest skill in the game. You can use it to set up teammates, set yourself up, traverse the map, and find hidden chests. You will want to use this often to drop archers and mages on their teammates' heads, not only doing solid damage, but also grouping them up so you can CC them all at the same time. In Act 1 and early Act 2, your damage isn't going to be pushing the top of the charts or anything, so your goal with this build is going to be more or less to crowd control every last thing on the battlefield, providing safety for your teammates to whittle them down. Your primary goal should be eliminating mages and archers, either from using teleport or from just jumping at them yourself. Occasionally, you'll want to jump back to peel for your other squishier companions if they find themselves in danger. Try to have your other companions group enemies up with teleport and find angles for you to knock down multiple enemies with Battering Ram and Battle Stomp. And don't forget to use Bull Rush as a powerful AoE damage tool. While leveling, you will get talents at levels 3, 8, 13, and 18. There are a few ways you can go about this, as none of them are nearly as important as Executioner. At level 3, I like to grab All Scaled Up. This build likes to grab a lot of different attributes early to make it excel, so the one extra point is really nice for helping us grab Teleport without slowing the damage down. At level 8, I grab Living Armor. On its own, this talent is merely just okay, but in combination with Vampiric Hunger and the 5-star Diner talent we grab later, this talent becomes quite a potent defensive tool. Early on in the game, when defensive value is at its highest, you won't quite be one-shotting everything yet or being one-shot yourself, so having some extra defenses via Living Armor will increase your survivability nicely. Level 13 is when we grab the extremely powerful 5-star Diner. This, in combination with Living Armor, will be all the defense you will ever need, giving you significantly more healing. 5-star Diner, when used with certain mid and late game potions, can legitimately fundamentally break the game, and turn you into an absolutely unkillable Witcher. So don't be scared to experiment with potions, because choosing the right one in certain fights will result in an easy victory. And lastly, at level 18, we will grab Hothead. This is simply just to increase our critical chance, and at this point in the game, we will have ideally nearly capped out. If you still do not have high crit chance at this point in the game and are relying on Enrage for your crit chance, then you can forgo this talent for Opportunist instead, but I do think it is less valuable. As you level up, your number one priority will always be Warfare, with the occasional dip into attributes such as Polymorph, Hydrosophist, Scoundrel, Aeromancer, and Necromancer, so you can grab some skills, followed by maxing out two-handed for the massive damage bonuses. Again, if you want to see it level by level, the full guide is in the description. In Act 2, we do grab a couple more skills that we rely on all the way through the endgame. The first of which is Blitz Attack. This is a combo mobility and damage move hybrid, giving you even more ways to maneuver through the battlefield. It's often best used when you are at a height advantage to your enemies, as it gives you a ton of extra range. Secondly is Onslaught, which is a source ability. Fighters don't have the most powerful source abilities, so this is kind of the one we are stuck with. It deals very good damage, specifically when you have your crit near 100%, and is capable of burst one-shotting almost everything in the game. Next is its source partner in crime, Skin Graft. This is one of the absolute strongest abilities in the game, and can be used on every build in the game. It is a one-cost source ability that resets all of your cooldowns, allowing you to instantly use them again. If you are playing as an elf like I recommended, then you can use Flesh Sacrifice and Adrenaline, then use Skin Graft to then be able to use Flesh Sacrifice and Adrenaline again, effectively giving you 5 extra AP for a huge burst of damage. This will also almost guarantee you will kill something with your turn, giving you 2 more AP from Executioner, instantly swinging the fight into your favor from a huge early Blitzkrieg. In the late game, your combat loop will largely stay the same. Your goal is to knock everything down with a combination of Battering Ram and Battle Stomp, except now your character will also be one of the highest damaging characters you have, and truly become the main character you are meant to be. You now have the option to simply slaughter your way through foes rather than being reliant on crowd controlling enemies so your teammates can take all of the glory. The only major difference will be your newfound source skills, primarily Skin Graft. Skin Graft will open you up to a whole new world with the extra AP and cooldowns you get, allowing you to use your first turn to do some significant damage without ever having to slow down. Finally, we have Equipment. Equipment is weird in Divinity because the best armor in this game is often randomly generated weapons and armor, with high stat bonuses and levels. A level 16 weapon that you find from our random box will just deal more raw damage than the awesome level 12 legendary one that you got from a trader. With that being said, there are some very powerful legendaries that you can use at certain points in the game to help you out. The big caveat with Divinity Equipment is that the gear will almost always be acquired at your level. So that means the longer you can go without buying the gear or finishing the quest, the higher the payoff will be with an even stronger weapon or armor piece. Because of this randomness, I will only be going over a few of the more powerful things to keep an eye out for, as it may be different for you on your own playthrough. The first item of which is the Sundering Cleaver. This will be the strongest two-handed weapon in Act 1 and is acquired from the skeleton trader Zaleskar. I recommend waiting as long as you can before trading with him, so that this weapon can be level 7 or 8 to help you get off the island. The next 2 pieces of gear worth mentioning can be acquired immediately upon entering Act 2. Head on over to Blood Moon Island right away and grab the Reaver Axe off a random corpse for a big upgrade to your weaponry. And more importantly, head over to the local merchant and buy the armor piece called Emrak. This chest piece will always be level 15 and is absolutely insane for this build. You will use this for the entirety of your time in Act 2 and well into the 3rd act. Lastly, in Act 2 we have Lohar's Source Hammer, which is the second best two-handed weapon in the entire game. So if you're using Sorcerous Sundries, this will be the weapon to level for a while. This can be acquired from an early quest in the first city of Act 2 from Lohar himself. But again, the longer you wait, the more powerful this weapon will become. The final weapon worth mentioning is the Vor Dalamis. This is the best weapon possible for two-handers, as long as you wait till level 20 to acquire it from the merchant. If you accidentally talk to the merchant too early, then worry not, as you can just wait to grab the Falone at level 20 for a solid secondary option. Which brings us to our endgame armor of choice, the Devourer set. This set was introduced in a DLC update and is acquired throughout every act of the game, in the form of the quest A Hunger from Beyond. The first step of this quest can be acquired from the Tower of Brachus Rex on the first island. I cannot stress enough to make sure to acquire each piece as you progress through the game and keep them safe from accidentally being sold, because if even one piece is missing, then it renders the entire set useless. Lastly, and very importantly, you need to use runes. Use them throughout the game to give yourself added crit chance, physical damage, and strength to really push your damage over the top. This is going to be the first Divinity build of many on the channel, so if you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what builds you would like to see in the comments below, and thank you all very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.